What's good, YouTube? We're back here today, going to be commentating some of my teammates' replays from the latest Peak of the Beak tournament. I obviously didn't enter this because I just don't like multi-day events. They're just not for me. I prefer to, slog it all out in a marathon. So it's just not my preferred tournament format. But my teammates play in these, and they were nice enough to offer me a couple of the replays that I could use for content, so we're going to be going over them today. I think we got 4 to get through, starting here with Fitz. Fitz is playing his classic Fire Zombie deck. I know a lot of people are a big fan of that deck. I definitely am as well. So he's going to be going first. His opening hand is, it's okay. He's got like a bunch of back row, which can be good and can be bad depending on the circumstances. So he's just going to go set Reaper, set it all. I don't know if he knows what he's up against. Obviously, if you know you're against Lightsworn, set it all is kind of a good plan because you want to have like that judgment for the solar recharge, especially against like a high rollier version of Lightsworn, which this does not look like the standard build that people play. This is on like Merchant and on Wolves and stuff. So definitely it would be a good idea to set it all against that. Anyway, he is going to set it all. The opponent's opened a terrible hand, by the way. They set Plague. It looks like they're expecting Raikou, which a lot of people expect Raikou. So his plan was set Plague, get that Raikou, and then maybe try to get off Merchant next turn, I guess. But obviously, Fitz just has a Reaper, so we're just kind of sitting here staring at one another, passing back and forth. So going to go for the Merchant. Doesn't mill too much, though. I don't know. I feel like the spell trap count in this build is probably too high to justify Merchant. Like, you're on stuff like Avarice, Cold Wave, Treacherous, and then a presumably triple solar recharge, and then Charged Light Brigade, and some other staples, and probably more copies of Avarice. So that seems like there's probably at least, 10 to 15 spell traps. I would think that Merchant is not too good. Anyway, Fitz going to rip the Fire Dog off the top. Fire Dog is just kind of the reason that you would play this alternative build, just because it gives you a sort of extra piece of interaction that's very good against some stuff that Zombies isn't so good against. And here, it's just going to let you make Stardust for free as well. This is kind of just Stardust.deck. Cold Wave is going to start, and that's, of course, going to be met with a Solemn Judgment, because Fitz does not want some crazy whack stuff to be happening. Understandable. He's just going to try to hit in with the Honest, but it's going to get mirrored. So, Fitz is in the clear for now. Stardust going to go over the Plague. Reaper in. I do not know why they didn't just drop Battle Fader. I feel like it's always better to just drop Fader than get hit with the Reaper, but I guess they have no plan for next turn. But I mean, look, what happens is the Honest gets ripped, and now you're out to Stardust. It's just gone. Like, you could have actually like done the curse to normal summon Raikou, hit over Stardust, and at least that would have been dealt with. But now it's just like, how do you ever play out of this? It seems like the Stardust is just going to carry Fitz to victory because you were greedy with your Battle Fader for no reason. And Fitz actually getting super aggressive here, tributing for Caius, following it up with the Book of Life, which it's probably the correct play. I mean, you have the brain control. Usually you want to, like, kind of win the race against Lightsworn, especially if they draw a slow hand. You just want to kill them so they can't get those big, like, JD drops later on in the game. You can at least put them out of JD range, and the opponent's just completely bricked. They're on, like, main deck DD Crow, main deck Battle Fader. I have no clue what the hell the plan is. But game 2, they're going to open a little better with the Solar Recharge and summon Lila Mill. Solar Recharge gonna be followed up with a Mill Wolf. So Fitz did this play where he just like passed with Gores, which I think is quite bad going second against Lightsworn, because I mean, if they just have Celestia or JD or something, they're just gonna like not even care, not even play around your Gores, and they're just gonna kill it. So I don't know about that. Then again, setting Reaper is kind of just asking for it to die, but if it gets killed by anything besides Aaron, then your Book of Life is online, so I don't know. But Fitz is just going to hit in. Fortunately, no Honest, but there is a Trag, and that Trag is quite an issue. He does Synchro level 8, which obviously this Trag can just pitch the JD to steal the Colossal, which is going to be a huge issue, given that Judgment and Bottomless do precisely nothing to answer this current situation. So Avarice is going to be used, and Fitz just not going to have anything to deal with that Avarice, unfortunately. Avarice is just a... Whenever your opponent resolves it, you feel like, damn, this card's overpowered. This card is not fair. Anyway, okay, presumably what happened, the replay always cuts off the end, but I think he just summoned Lila to bait the Bottomless and then pitched the JD to steal, or like summon the JD or something and won from that position. So I don't know why the replay cuts it off like that. Anyway, Fitz going to start with a turn 1 Dust Shoot here, which especially good against decks like this. He's going to rip the Gores, but the opponent's still got a playable hand. They're going to resolve multiple recharges here. They could maybe have opted to set the Raikou. For some strange reason, they search a Lila, which maybe they're not on a third Raikou. I don't know if there's something better they could have searched with that charge. I feel like Lila was just completely pointless. Couldn't they have gone Lumina, done something like pitch play, get back Jane? That kind of seems better to me. And now, you know, especially vulnerable to this play with the Mind Con and then just forcing out the back row. Fortunately, there's a Treacherous, just still in game 3, and it's going to pop both of these. So the opponent not in too bad of a spot. Fitz opts to summon Mizuki rather than forcing the Necro Gardener with the Spirit Reaper, which Mizuki does give you better setup for next turn. So if you're thinking ahead like that, I think it might have been the better play. The Limb, though, the Limb is just an issue for this Lightsworn deck, especially these ones that play Wolf, because it just turns off that whole aspect of your deck as well. Fitz getting kind of greedy here, summoning the Reaper to force the Gardener. Could have just summoned Magician, Synchroed 8, and then maybe brought back the Turtle, but I guess that plays into Gores a little more if you don't make a Colossal exactly. Although, yeah, maybe it is better to just force the Gardener with the Reaper. He knows about the Gores, though. Like, that's the thing. Is, you don't have to worry about playing into Gores when you know there's a Gores. Like, it's so much worse when you know it's there. Fitz just going to make a Stardust here rather than Kaiasing, because of course he knows about the Gores. I think Stardust is probably, he mentioned in hindsight he forgot that the opponent had a Plague Spreader, so Stardust was probably the wrong choice. Should have just gone Colossal Fighter here. The Limb turns off all of the JD, Celestial, Lila stuff anyway, so Stardust is kind of redundant. But now this is feeling like a really strong spot. The Merchants and the Lilas are just like, they don't do anything because of Limb. And Fitz is just going to bring back the Reaper. Gore's, of course, going to have to be dropped at this point. And he's going to rip a card out of the opponent's hand. Gets that Lila, hits over. Opponent just going to leave the game after getting Mirror Force. So, pretty quick W there for Fitz. Good job. Nice to see Fire Zombies doing well, advancing to the next round. Okay. Now we've got Souls Manic's game. Souls pretty much only plays Flamvell. Exclusively Flamvell. Let's see, he's up against Fairies. The Fairy player opens, honestly, just a dog hand. Not a single Recruiter, no Dim Alk, no other Fairy to go with your Orange Light, just like a Freed and some awkward spell traps. So just going to set pass. Mind Control actually used on the set dog. So this was some kind of like torrential bait play with the... he didn't want to play into Bottomless with dog, which is understandable. And it was actually Bottomless, so it would have been pretty bad if he had summoned this dog and it had gotten Bottomless. Souls with like just a heads-up read there. Gonna Brio, no Prio. I think I would have torrentialed this every single time, probably. Like, regardless, I would have asked for Prio, and then I would have torrentialed either way. I guess you have the Brain Con, right? That's the thinking, is you can do some play with Brain Con, but... I don't know, I feel like this Brain Con is not going to get used for a while. The Torrential does get some value here. Because the opponent drew Warrior Lady and tried to summon it into these back row. So, maybe Souls made the right... Maybe Souls is just smarter than me. I don't know. He's going to call back the Brio. Which, yeah, that's an issue. You pretty much have to Brain at this point. So, going to just hit in with the Brionac and then Tribute for Caius. It's kind of a 50-50 here. Does he win the 50-50? He does. And the opponent's not going to Bottomless for some reason. I don't know. I feel like Bottomless is a card you should generally just use the second you can. It's not always the case, but it's sort of like Nobleman in that way, where it's just like, it's a card that's very valuable to resolve, and there's a lot of times where you're not going to have a lot of chances, so I feel like you should just use it. But he's going to hold it. Figures he's got the Mirror Force, but Soul's got a Rekindling play here. Bottomless is going to stop, but it's just going to make Stardust, and now the Mirror Force doesn't do anything. And you've got a dead RFDD and nothing else. So, looking like Souls is just going to take this one at this point. And yeah, that book should just end the game. So, yeah, pretty good plays by Souls. I think he honestly made smarter plays than I would have in the same position, but that's why he's the Flamvell expert, and I am not. Opponent going to summon a Thunder King. Ooh. But Souls is going to Gale and just hit over it. Got an end phase Dust Tornado, followed by a Breaker. Breaker going to hit over the Gale, and it's looking pretty good for the Fairy player at this point. I don't know what Souls could have done differently here, actually. Kind of just feel like a tough game there for him in game number 2. He just like had an awkward hand with... It's one of those hands where you just drew too many back row, and it wasn't the right back row. So he just goes for the Storm here. Pretty much 100% correct. I'm very much a proponent of the just slam heavy when you can get the pluses. I mean, you should have like some kind of play to follow up your heavy, and Souls did, in terms of outing that Shining Angel. So I think he'd made a right call there. Just going to set that Spy. Opponent's got a bunch of back row, probably Deep Prison going to be used now, and that Spy going to be met with an Oppression, which is actually a bit of an issue because there's a Sork and a Rekindling and a Cyber Dragon in Soul's hand. So this does not deal too well with Oppression. The opponent not going to hit in, probably thinking it's another Spy or maybe a Raikou, and Soul's going to punish that with the Tribute Caius. He chooses to go after the Royal Oppression, which I think makes sense given the cards that he has. He gets Honested, but he's going to go for the Sork to get rid of that Dim Out, because this is a pretty good situation. Fairy player going to rip that DD Warrior Lady, just go in, try to out the Sork, get a bigger RFDD live, and just setting back and forth here. Souls goes for the double Spy, going to go for that Descendant, and here I think he gets unlucky. He hits like the one that he just really did not want to hit. I guess, yeah, that was the 1 out of 4 chance of getting punished by your blind snipe there. Otherwise, it would have been like, I mean, not a plus, obviously. It would have been like a 3 for 2 or something. Anyway, gonna flip a Raikou, pop one of these back row. Fortunately for Souls, he hits the Dust Tornado and not the Rekindling, so getting a little bit of luck to make up for what happened earlier. However, the RFDD is just going to be chained now, and this is a bit of an issue. Tribute Summon Christia as well, and Souls does not have an answer to Christia in his hand right now, unfortunately. So he's got to draw one. Fire Dog doesn't do it. Just going to set. He's going to normal Fire Dog, try to go for game here with the Mind Control, but it's not going to be work. It's going to be met with a Deep Prison, and then Heavy Storm, Chain, Compulse. So a little bit of a tough break there for Souls in game number 3. All right, next up we got Mr. Maple versus... what was he playing against here? I don't even remember. Okay, well, yeah, it was actually a KFC variant, and he's on, like, pure Blackwing with multiple My Bodies. It's a bit of a weird build. I guess it works for him. I think he's been playing... I mean, when he plays Blackwings, I've seen him play this build before. I think he's had it for a while. But yeah, just going to hit over that Dandy. Opponent, I'm not sure about this Kurez play or why you're popping Garden just to draw. Feel like you could have done something better with just like Debris into maybe AFD, then hit over that, and then... I don't know. I feel like there's a better play. I don't think committing Kurez this early was correct. Because if you just waited a couple, you would have had this Gear Town. I guess you have good follow-up next. And, yeah, I don't know. Okay, just going to go for the Gadgetron, though. He got really lucky with the Kurez draw. I will say that. Because this could have just been like a stare at the Bora pass kind of situation. But he ends up drawing double Terraforming, so he's able to hit over it. Brain Control going to be used, and I'm not sure why he didn't just Gadgetron hit over first. I guess he figures these My Bodies just have him covered, but could have easily been like a, I don't know, a Phoenix Winger. That wouldn't have exactly done it, but I feel like you should just hit the Gadgetron hit over is so free. It's a little less damage, but you just don't have to worry about anything. Like maybe he's just playing Deep Prison in KFC. This is obviously a different build than mine because it's on like Spirit Reaper and stuff. And I think there's some things missing from his build that are in my latest build, but gonna MST the Icarus. Icarus is gonna be chained, and that's gonna out the Gear Town, but now these just got a Debris play, and I'd have gone AFD here, I think. It does like more. The Black Rose is only better if he just like top decks something that he feels like he needs to set, but he can just put stuff in attack mode, so AFD like turns more of your top decks live. Gonna go bottomless set, but just getting beat down by the by the Black Rose Dragon at this point, and this should pretty much be game over with Judgment. I don't know why you're ever Judgmenting that normal summon. You can just go for game next turn with Solemn Judgment, whereas now it's kind of like, well, maybe his back row will be Torrential, but it's not, so the KFC player is going to find a way to hit lethal. But I think a little bit of some sloppy plays there in game number 1. So game number 2, I do not agree with this at all. I think there's like a million things this loses to, right? It loses to Colluded Hand, it loses to Bottomless Trap Hole, it loses to Book of Moon, it loses to Royal Oppression, which is the card that actually is set. When it's just like, you could just play a bit more passive and just like have the Judgment for next. I mean, your hand is kind of awkward either way. And Plague Spreader should not be in your deck probably at all, but it definitely shouldn't be in your deck post-board versus Blackwings. So that's part of it. But I think with the cards that he had, I would have just played a little bit more conservatively. Because now you just like can't deal with this Royal Oppression. Definitely should have... Did he have an opportunity to Torrential there? Because I feel like he should have just Torrentialed. I mean, it would have forced out of my body at least. But good Legacy of Yada trying to draw Trag or something, but just not going to find it, and he's going to die. So, game number 3, he's just not going to... Summoning Gadgetron just like on turn 1, I think is always a bad play, but it's especially a bad play post-board when they just have Cyber Dragon in, and now you just get Cyber Dragoned. Oh, man. Yeah, that was not good. I feel like you should dust the Black Whirlwind there, probably, instead of just Mind Crushing the Blizzard. Better to just stop them from getting the dumb +1, because now you've just gone neg by trading the Mind Crush with a free card that they got. And it's not like you have any cards in your hand that actually do anything, so in terms of follow-up next turn, so I don't know why you're saving this dust. You didn't even use it here on this before mirroring, and you're not using it either on like either of these before going for Titanial. You should at least like Chain Dust here on one of the back row to hope to hit a Bottomless, since they have shown no oppression. But now your Titanial is just going to eat one of them. I mean, it was going to eat one of them either way, but you should probably go for it. Torrential going to be used. My body's going to stop it. Dust now being used. See, you ended up using the Dust on the Black Whirlwind anyway, so why not just use it initially? It was just a hard neg one. Anyway, Starlight Road plus Phoenix Wing. You should probably have held the road in hand. You could have maybe lived another turn. I mean, they have the Collude, so you're dead no matter what, but yeah. Maple is going to end up winning then. The 3 My Bodies were like pretty good, I think. At least they seemed pretty good. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the only cards in KFC they actually stop are Torrential Mirror, but the dude drew the Torrential Mirror every game. So, I mean, they definitely looked good. I think in the future, Maple should probably side them out against a deck that's not playing Bottomlesses or anything. 3 seems like a lot. I think he's on 3, but maybe, I mean, it's been working for him, so can't criticize it too hard. Anyway, Maple's going to pull out the W, so good for him. On to the final game. We got Joy Boy versus... What was Joy Boy playing against? It'll come back to me in a sec. Right, Joy Boy is just against Blackwings. He's playing Frogs and gets turn 1 Dust Shooted, which feels bad, but his hand is kind of garbage anyway. So it's one of these Dust Shoots where it's like, do I even care? Sometimes you have a hand that's like just kind of bad and the Dust Shoot ruins it, but this is a hand that's just completely bad, so you don't even really care that you got Dust Shooted. Gonna hold the Storm. Probably fine. You want to wait till you like have an actual play to make before you Storm in this situation. And yeah, the opponent's not going to set anymore because you have Storm, but it's better just conserve it. This was an amazing top deck for Joy Boy. He needed this. So Storm going to be used, and then Swap Frog's going to just like set up the Treeborn and turn on the junk and all of that stuff. So very, very helpful for him. I don't know what the hell the opponent is thinking with this play. This is just like, you've decided to take these 2 cards in your hand and throw them in the garbage. I don't know why you're setting. I mean, usually against Frog Monarch, if you're in a situation like this, it's better to just not be putting cards on the field. So, yeah. And then he does this weird thing where he tries to like chain Book of Moon to swap Frog, which you should have just used it on Attack Declaration. I don't know why you're doing it in main 2. But he ends up just booking the Trag, which doesn't do anything. And yeah, now this game is just over now, right? Yeah, okay. So Some pretty weird plays from the blackwing player in that game. Game number 2, we see some sideboard cards have come in. We're not even playing around Heavy Storm. We're just setting it all. I don't know about that one. That's a little bit crazy. Like, there are actually people out there that will just set 4. If he had Heavy Storm, you would just lose the duel right now. And you still might not win. Like, it's not like setting 4 just means you're going to win. Frogs is like a very good deck at playing into back row. So, why don't you just set 2? That way, yeah, it would suck if he had Storm, but at least you don't auto-lose the game. I don't know. Wild. He's going to hit over the dupe frog with the Shura. And going to make an armor. Like, most of these back row don't even do anything. There's like 2 pulling the rugs, which there are no monarchs in this hand. There's I guess the deck dev does something now, but you didn't set that one earlier. You just set that one now because you made the armor master. Icarus attack, like, not even live. Book of Moon, I guess maybe. I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. Also, he just shotguns the deck dev. Why are you shotgunning the deck dev? Just wait for your opponent to like use this Rhoda and go for junk synchron. Now he's actually just gonna get to do his synchro play. I mean, you can spend a back row on the pulling the rug, but you could have just conserved this pulling the rug, you know? Also, Joy Boy's on 3 econs in his hand. What the hell? That's so bad. He drew all 3 of his econs. That's unlucky, man. Okay, so gonna draw a Ryza. I'm not sure here. I guess he doesn't want his Treeborn to get banished, so that's why he's not going for it. Alright. At this point, though, I think you pretty much have to go for, like, the econ into Monarch. No, he's actually going to wait another turn. Maybe it wouldn't have made a difference because there's all these pulling the rugs, but I should probably have gone for this. With Banisher was the actual card that's, like, messing him up here, to be honest. Like, all of these pulling the rugs are not even the issue. It's just the Banisher. So the econ's going to fail because of the Book of Moon, and then that's just going to be the end of the game. So, kind of nothing Joy Boy could do there. There were just, like, too many side deck cards that got drawn all at once against him. It was a critical mass of frog hate. But this game, Joy Boy opens just the absolute god hand. He's got, like, the literal meme of Goat Substitute in opening hand. He's just going to, like, go +4 or something. Oh, that's wild. And I don't know what this Ick attack usage is. You can just wait and chain this to, like, disrupt their play and make the dupes miss timing. But instead, he just aggressively does it on his turn so he can normal Sirocco. And couldn't you have just done it last turn? Like, in response to sub effect, you could have just done it and then gotten rid of dupe plus another one, or dupe plus sub, and then just done this same play. I don't know. Alright, he is going to deck dev, so that's going to hit a bunch of frogs. However, Joy Boy is just going to space a back row, get a Treeborn back, summon a Monarch, and... Okay, pulling the rug's going to stop the Mobius, but Joy Boy's just up a bajillion cards here. He's got, like, Torrential Mirror Force. Torrential's interesting. I think he sides this, just because people won't expect it to be in post-board versus frog, I guess. It's good in the mirror, that's for sure. Maybe that's why he sides it. So the opponent does a weird play where they activate Whirlwind and then brain the Goyo. Now you kind of have to brain the Goyo because it's the only way you're staying alive. But I don't know why he activated the Whirlwind. Was this just like trying to bait a Dust Tornado or a Solemn, or I don't even... Who would Solemn a Whirlwind actually though? Anyway, Mirror Force is going to make sure that the Blackwing player doesn't get the Swap Frog. And he's just going to... He actually bounces back the Treeborn. Is there a reason he did that? Anyway, okay, a bunch of stuff just happened. So the opponent summoned Sirocco. It's going to be Torrentialed, and then deck dev's going to be chained. So that's going to hit the Swap Frog out of the hand. But now Joy Boy should just be able to lethal here with Dust Tornado, killing this, bring back the Treeborn, set the Soul Exchange, summon Kais, banish the set Soul Exchange, and then attack for game. So, Joy Boy going to pull it out. He got messed up by a bunch of side deck hate in game number 2, but ultimately Frogs will win the day in this match. So, I hope you guys enjoyed having me go over some of these more competitive games from my teammates. I might do a few more segments on their tournament matches. I think it's always cool to watch these and like look over all the plays and sort of analyze, what was right, what was wrong, what decks people were playing. It's a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, become a channel member to support me, all of that stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.